Hey everyone, Bill McCray here. I think I'm like maybe a minute late. I don't know. My dog was barking out in the front room, so she's in here now. She'll probably start barking again. So excuse me if she does. This week I'm going to go over a number of different topics. Um, but first of all, I want to welcome you all for taking some time out in the middle of your day, or if you're watching it online a few hours after it's recorded or whenever. Thank you for taking some time. Tried to make it worth your while today. I ask you to share this content, whether you're at school, SKOOL, or you're on Facebook, on either any of my Facebook groups. We'll ultimately end up getting this video. I got to record it first, but if you're like on Learn from Bill or AI or Velocity Impact Facebook groups, and this is streaming live, feel free to share it. For those of you who are here from any of my products, Massive Passive or AI Social Poster or AI Content Poster or any of those things, I'm glad you're here. Um, so we're going to go over kind of a list of just kind of new announcements related to the I'm going to get rid of this. There we go. Related to AI. Again, this is kind of like a news roundup, and it's going to be a little different in that fact. I'm not going to sit there and show you the software that I'm using, but I'm going to show you some of the tools or what I'm doing with those tools now, and that will be a very uh, interesting thing to understand. It's really almost impossible to keep up with all the evolution in AI. Um, I think I've talked to you guys about Grok. Grok is an AI from Elon Musk. It's called XAI. It's part of his X platform. I'm not sure where he treats his stuff from, but getting pretty good results out of it for what I'm trying to do with AI. Well, I've been like recording a lot of music, and my partner in crime, the producer, is located in LA. I went and saw him about 6 months ago, and like it was his house. I'm like, wow, you do this inside a house? So we went inside his house. He had a nice office with guitars everywhere and pianos. And how can you produce live recordings in this environment? Because it was so different in the 80s when I was playing in a rock band. You have to have this huge studio, everything mic'd up and balancers and a gigantic mixing board. And all you had is this computer in front of him. Okay. A big giant rounded screen. Really nice. He spent some money on that. I don't know if it was OLED or not, but it was amazing looking. And he had two sets of keyboards on his desk in front of him. And I said, "This is all you use to record music?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "How?" He said, "Well, people do things. They send them to me via email or there's actually a back channel into his studio. So you upload files into his studio, and it says I take those files and I assemble them using the tools in front of me. I go, what tools are you using? It's the two keyboards right in front of him. So I said, well, let's do some playing around. Okay, he's a friend, so he just let me do stuff. He goes, what type of music you like to play? I said, well, I'm in a worship band. I do like playing rock and roll, and we did a couple rock and roll type songs, but honestly, I'm like, well, I really rather focus on the worship music because that's where my heart is right now. So I had some lyrics that I've gotten from another friend, and I do write lyrics. And what I did is I said, well, here are these lyrics. I hear this is in the key of E minor, G7, D, and G. So it's not G7, it's C7. So it sounds really beautiful. It's kind of a typical chord progression you'd find in most worship songs. And so we took the lyrics. He goes, okay, you got a chord progression, got lyrics. Let's come up with a rhythm. I said, okay, the rhythm makes sense. Let's do that. So I sat down with my guitar and I strummed it out for him. He's like, okay, cool. He recorded that with his microphone. And I was just on an electric, turned really, no distortion on that garbage. And he recorded that. And I gave him the lyrics and we discussed how the piano would sound. I said, well, really, this piano needs to be in front because I'm trying to create a very emotional environment that people can take in and listen to and enjoy it at their discretion. So I want to be mostly pianos. I want it to be slow. So we set E minor at 65 beats per minute. He created a click track, just click, 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 click. And I played the rhythm guitar part of it multiple times. And the way most of these songs are constructed is like 3 to 4 chords, and you play them and you kind of repeat them. So all you got to do is play them one time right. And then they pull it into Pro Tools and they can plunk it in wherever they want. Just copy and paste it. And then you might have a bridge with maybe a passing chord in there that's different, or you change up the chord progression a little bit. And so we recorded the acoustic guitar, and I described him what I wanted for the melody. I gave him the lyrics, and he came back, I don't know, about a month ago and said, hey, check this out. I listened to the song. I'm like, boy, that's really good. How did you get that? And who's singing? And one of the things this guy does as a recording engineer, he's got like a library of voices, people that come in and sing. And then he can take those voices into an AI application and create an AI voice to sing any lyrics you put at them. So I heard a really great voice I like. So I put these lyrics to them, and we came out with a beautiful song. And I'm like, wow, this is really cool. He goes, yeah, let's just create an album of worship songs. I said, really? And he goes, yeah, I won't charge you nothing for it. Let's just do it for fun, because these guys are all out of LA. They're Christians, actually it's kind of like Orange County. And I said, well, that's okay, cool. Let me write some lyrics and come up with some chord progressions and strums. And then I'll submit that to you on your platform. And you come back to me and show me what we got. So it's not like it was in the 80s where you had each instrument locked up, and then you played each one and you had to copy and paste stuff literally by cutting the tape and putting it together. And it was a very slow, painstaking process. With Pro Tools, which is the recording tool that came out in the 90s for recording music. Trevor Rayburn, who's a guitarist for Yes during the 80s, was one of the primary guys behind that. So you could do all sorts of stuff. So I said, let's play let me record electric guitar stuff that was like I like to play in the 80s, which was more, rock and roll. And I recorded some really cool things, and I said, upload it. What can you do with it? And he goes, well, there you go. And it was just instrumental. He put the drums, he put the bass, he put the keyboards, and he sequenced the song for me. And it's not available right now, but I might just do a whole album of kind of rock instrumentals, because the truth is, because of the way these things work now with Pro Tools, you only need to do it right one time. So I'm doing these sweep arpeggios. They're just, you've heard them, So I'm playing them, I only have to get it right once. He's like, just keep doing it until you get it right. And he said, just keep doing it and send me all the recordings. I'll pick the one I want. And he does. And then he's got this library of voices that he's recorded over the years. Well, I think in the last 2 years, something like that. And they're trained as voices for AI, and I just can't believe how good this stuff sounds. So I'm creating an album of worship music, and it'll be out probably in July. And really, what it is just me playing my guitar, coming up with the rhythm, the chord progression, and kind of an ideal what the melody will be. And then he takes it to his big old computer and turns it into a song, down to the final mix. Well done, really well done. And I'm like, wow, this is so much easier than it used to be. But I struggled with writing lyrics, so um, I'm taking content that I write here on my computer, and since I'm creating worship songs, I'll always pick like a Bible verse. Let's say Hebrews 11:1, which is really uh, about trusting in God, right? So I took that verse and came up with my um, lyrics, this song. But I still don't know if they're going to sound right or be, whether they're right to fit into any sort of structure changes. Music, it goes from A to B. So it's, they may have words and they may not fit anything. A vocalist may not be able to use them. So I was able to go to ChatGPT and say, here are my lyrics. Tell me how they will be, whether they're suitable for a song at 75 beats per minute in the key of B minor or G minor or whatever, and give me any recommendations you'd like to do. So I make sure that the sequencing of the words works with the changes in the chord progression. You got to remember, most songs are constructed, especially worship songs, are really pretty easy. There's 4 beats or 4 bars per 4 measures per stanza, per strip of 1, 2, 3, 4. And usually there's 4 beats per measure. And usually there's a chord change every 4 beats. So it's not hard to do, very structured. So the words got to fit within that structure, and you got to have a melody that goes over it. So Rob came up with the melody based on the words and the chord progression on his keyboard. And keyboard players, always amazed at guys who play great keyboards. But honestly, there's 3 notes in a chord: the first, third, and the fifth. And if it's a minor, it's a first, a flat, and third, and a fifth. And if it's rock and roll, it's a power chord, first and a third, and sometimes an eighth. So they're really just like counting. So it's not that hard to do. And he was able to take that information and assemble. We've finished, I think, 6 songs. I think I need 9 to make a good album. We'll probably release in July. So I was able to give the parameters to Chat GPT, feed in my existing lyrics, and say this has got to fit these parameters, and this chord progression: E minor for 4 beats, C7 for 4 beats, G for 4 beats, D for 4 beats. Can you make sure that the words kind of flow with that intent? And they do. They come back and makes recommendations and dramatic improvements in the overall lyrics to fit the song. Because you can also go, okay, what do you think of that song? To ChatGPT, and they will say, you need to have a little bit more cohesion. Maybe you need to add some more to the verse. The chorus is great. It just makes recommendations. So you can take, it's kind of a disjointed lyrical setup, take it to ChatGPT and say, improve this to fit these parameters, and get some awesome recommendations back. You do or don't have to use it. It's all unique to you anyway. So between that and Rob and his magic keyboard playing, um, I think we got 6 songs done now. Probably it'd be a total of 9 once all said and done. And each song is based off a Bible verse. So you can look forward to seeing that. But AI is involved in every step of it. You cannot get AI out of anything related to business nowadays. Okay, his recording studio, he's got these voices in his database that he's built up and made AI. So they're not singing your song. The AI version of that guy's voice is singing it, which is great because if you heard me sing, you'd cry. My wife throws stuff at me when I start singing around and playing with the dog or something. So I wanted someone good to sing. I never could sing. I'll play the guitar fine, and he can actually take in that content and go, okay, we want to speed it up, but you want to speed it up without re-recording everything. You can speed it up with AI, and it will change. It will make sure that the key doesn't change or the pitch doesn't change, and that the vocals stay in sync with everything. I'm just amazed because technology has really changed the way you do everything. AI is powerful, and it's very much part of all music you hear nowadays. You hear samples and stuff like that. Rob told me, he says, these guys come in here with these rhythms and they got these cool little rhymes and they create hip hop songs. And a lot of them will even sing, but they use a auto tuner to make sure they're in key, which I tried and I still couldn't do it. But the fact is that you'll hear these guys when they're singing these really weird vocalists going on. And it's all AI created or auto tuned with AI creation of music. And it's just a fact, it's not going to go away. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on this week in AI. A lot of people raising a lot of money. If you've been paying attention to the stock market, I don't know where it is today, but it's been on a nosedive because our president's been fighting with people over all sorts of foolish things. So it's like, okay, wow, stock market's way down, and it's kind of crazy. But there are a lot of AI businesses that they're now the darlings, right? And people raising money right now. Epheris is a defense tech company, and if you know anything about defense, it's going a lot of AI. That's why all the money going into AI, where Trump's putting $500 billion in investment from some group. And a big thing is that we got to be better at AI than everyone else. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to fight on the battlefield. I'm totally anti-war, but I am totally pro-defense. Defense is different. So I'm going, wow. One of those companies is called Epiphirus or Epirus, Epirs. They got some defense technology, and they were just able to raise $250 million. Now, there's not a lot of capital in a stock market that's doing this, but I don't know what they do at all, but they got $250 million capital to do it, and they're working with the defense, so that's pretty stable. Another company by the name of Shield AIs, they come up with autonomous defense systems. So when they're flying their F-35s or F-22, they're going to have swarm drones that are buzzing along that they can release, and the AI will say, go get that target, go get that target, go get that target. It's not far from the Winter Soldier movie that was online. What was it? Captain America Winter Soldier, where they had the big floating ships that were designed to use their AI to detect if somebody's going to be um, potential threat to the country, like even before they've grown up, they're little kid, then boom, knock them out. That's kind of scary, right? You don't want to be like a little kid and you're just playing in the ball field and suddenly you're dead. But it's that sort of stuff's going on, and there will be F-35s or A-10 Warhogs flying around with swarms of little drones, and the little drones will be doing whatever the AI tells them to do based on whatever the directive is from a human being. Okay, those defense AIs will say, "Oh, there's a target," and be able to move the laser beam, which is what they have now on battleships, destroy it. Um, it's going to be used for like talking about this brick wall, or they call it Iron Dome for the United States. It's going to be a bunch of laser beams flying around the sky, killing things. Is what it's going to be. Because when you fire a high energy weapon, which is basically a laser, is nothing more than a beam of light with a lot of energy behind it. And so you find a target using hopefully humanized, but maybe it's an AI, who knows? And the weapon is going to hit it perfectly. Boom. Because when you fire a laser beam, it's traveling at the speed of light. So if the AI detects a missile coming in, which you probably will see from uh, radar or other technologies they have, it'll be able to go boop, nap it out instantly. So they're creating that Iron Dome in the States. They're using a lot of AI technology to manage that. So there's a bunch of money available for that stuff. So um, the share valuation uh, for Shield AI, good name, is doubled. It's up to $55.3 billion. And it got there like overnight. So even if the stock market's going like that, and some of the AI stocks are doing this too, but you'll notice that there's always these outliers that are kind of going way up. If the stock value doesn't go up, their valuations may go up as soon as the stock market gets back in the sync with reality. So I think things are going to go down. Well, the other thing is Bitcoin. I own some Bitcoin, not some. I bought it way, way, way long time ago, and I've just been sitting on it. And it's worth money now, but it's like, well, the federal government's going to set up a reserve for Bitcoin. Think about that. What that's going to do? It's going to give them the ability to release Bitcoins, sell off to bring the value down, or to buy to keep the value high, just like oil. You got the strategic reserve in the States here. And when gas prices were going crazy, Biden started releasing that reserve to put a downward pressure on the price. Damn the fact they almost drained it completely. Trump says that we're going to refill the reserve, and that's going to take like 12 years and $32 billion to do. They should, because the purpose of the strategic reserve is not to get reelected. It's to have it in case of emergencies, right? And that way you have something to drive the country if something bad happens. But it's a supply and demand thing. The same thing with these stocks. You might be not making much money now, but a long time, yeah, you're going to do good. Great. Same thing with Bitcoin. They'll be able to sell and buy Bitcoin in the reserve. It's no different than what they did with gold. They put it at Fort Knox. We don't know if it's really there. I mean, there's a bunch of bullshit about that going on. But because the gold is there, the federal government has the ability to sell it and put a downward pressure on cash, or hoard it and put an upward pressure on cash. Because it all comes down to scarcity. And here's the thing about Bitcoin, uh, that makes it so attractive. Uh, they can't refill the coffers. So only so many bitcoins are ever going to be mined, and it's going to get increasingly more difficult to do so. So scarcity causes value to go up. So even though Bitcoin's down from its peak at 100,000, I bought it for like $150 back in the 90s. You spend $2,500 to help a friend out, and you're thinking, oh, that was a waste of money. And then, you know, 30 years later, you're going, well, it was one of the, it wasn't in the 90s, it was in the early 2000s. I think 2010, 11. It was one of the smartest, stupid things I've ever done because it's appreciated. Now the federal government's getting involved in it. They're going to have the ability to keep the value there. In other words, if the government continues to hoard Bitcoin, it's going to drive the price up. And they haven't started doing that yet, but they're going to. I think they're going to put like $200 billion in Bitcoins, what Trump said he was going to. So that market looks pretty good. So what I do is Cash App. Every week I buy automatically several $100s worth of Bitcoin. And I don't care if it goes up or down or up or down. I do know that in the next 10 years, it's probably going to be worth, $400,000 a coin. And I'm going to look like a rocket scientist because I did that. So my point is, AI is telling these people how to speculate and also be able to how to manage things. So, and your federal government and your military is completely, totally integrated with all these AIs. So it's interesting times we live in, isn't it? I never, when I'm a kid in the 80s with long hair and my guitar and I'm typing computer code, I didn't even know there would be, an iPhone. Because we always had this fantasy, as a kid growing up, we used to watch Dick Tracy. And, I got an iWatch, and a phone call would come in and he'd be on his watch. I did that the other day. My wife called me and like, hey, honey, what's up? And it didn't really even dawn on me that was a fantasy. Or remember Star Trek where they go, Scotty, beam me up. They had their transcorder. Well, you have one right here. And then there's the texting. And so AI is going to make everything more. And in the case of these defense firms, Shield AIs and others, their stock value is going to go up, and it's going to continue to go up because the government, and this is how congressmen get extremely wealthy. Oh yeah, I hear that Trump is going to start hoarding Bitcoin, and this company is doing all this work. The value is going to go up. Go buy the stock. It's called insider trading. Has anyone ever in my lifetime, in the federal government gone to jail for violation of the trades rules? You're not allowed to buy and sell stock when you're a member of Congress, and yet Nancy Pelosi's worth $250 million. And if you just made the same stock trades she did, you'd be wealthy. I don't buy and sell stock. I do buy and hold Bitcoin. So, and then I'm not. Here's the thing about wealth. We own real estate, and they're not making more of it, so the value will eventually go up. Okay, how much wealth do you need? I mean, I want to be comfortable. I want to be able to enjoy my life, but I don't need to be, Elon Musk rich. So you set your levels. If you do, well, you got to come up with some really bright stuff, right? Microsoft. I used to be such a huge fan of Bill Gates. Now I think he's kind of a douche. Um, I just he kind of went straight downhill in my estimation because of his uh, pride, really, if you want to get down to it. And now he's thinking we're not allowed to eat beef and we better buy all the farmland and cows fart too much and all this nonsense. He's a pretty bright guy, and then he's all pro vaccine. Vaccines are very helpful for society. You probably wouldn't be alive if they didn't come out with vaccines many years ago because most families died off like that they uh, because they didn't have protection against polio or measles or any of these infectious diseases. Uh, but now they do. So uh, yeah, he's kind of nut. But here, Microsoft is in the process right now of coming out with their own version of AI. They've grown cautious or concerned about relying on OpenAI's system. So one of the big areas where money is being made is building data centers. Elon Musk, good man in my mind, is building data centers in Texas. And these aren't like little things, these are like 5 mile long buildings. And they're all set up, all this electronics. And this is why our president wants to have control over the rare earths need to make electronics and to make sure the chips are being built here. So you got like the Taiwanese chip company investing $500 million right here in Texas I think it's in Texas, to move manufacturing here. No, it's in Arizona, I'm sorry. To move manufacturing into the States. So they can avoid tariffs and be close to the market and not be isolated on a little island that someone can blow up if they got irritated at them. And they have a way of irritating the Chinese. So I think that's really a strategic move that makes sense. So everything's going to be based on AI. And so the president's investing or getting private investment instead of federal investment in the AI space to make more data centers. And a lot of these trillionaires or billionaires are investing heavily into data centers. And we're investing heavily into being able to make new technology and chips that can process the data faster, more intelligent. I mean, the evolution in the micro part of technology in order to do the AI content. Well, we pretty well figured out the algorithms. Now it's at the point where the AIs can actually program themselves if they have the computing power to do so. And wait until they have quantum computing, and that's getting closer too. The quantum computing will take less energy and go way faster. And they're building all these huge data centers that are going to absorb a shit ton of energy. They're going to employ a ton of people if you're technically involved in being able to set things up and manage the equipment. And honestly, they're going to drive the next 20 years worth of innovation. So when you go to innovate products now, what's their biggest tool to use? It's AI. You can take your drawings into ChatGPT or Grok or others and totally be able to troubleshoot. Just like I described, taking lyrics in and saying to ChatGPT, make sure this fits this parameter. You could take all those parameters in like an engineer and throw in what you're doing, and it will come back and recommend do this, and it will be right. So it's really a productivity tool, but it's thinking. Well, I was watching a YouTube video the other night about AI advancement because, well, I'm in that business, so why wouldn't I want to do it? What we're doing with AI social poster, AI massive passive, or any of my tools is child's play. It really, really is child play. Most people would think it's a miracle, but it's not. It's like the low end of what you can do with AI. Um, So Microsoft is wants to be in the game as well. So they're pouring, I don't know how many billions of dollars, many billion dollars into building their own AI because they're concerned about using OpenAI, even though them and Elon Musk was the initial uh, investors in OpenAI. OpenAI is going to go to a for-profit model. I don't know what that means. All these others like Claude. Uh, Claude is really great for certain things, and XAI. It's just amazing. So someone's saying, "Do you use Google to get information?" Because that's what I would do typically. I go, "Well, how do I fix this?" I go to Google, search, keep searching, put up with their doggone ads. Which I didn't want to see the ads. I wanted to, I don't want to make money and get rich when I'm searching for a solution to a problem. I don't use Google at all anymore. Maybe to find a restaurant or a business somewhere that I know already exists. What I will do is I'll go to Grok or ChatGPT and I'll ask that question to them. I don't even need to type anymore. With Grok and ChatGPT, I just turn on the voice and I talk to it. My wife goes, "Well, you're sure busy. What are you doing?" I go, I've been talking to ChatGPT for this morning and Grok this afternoon." And she rolls her eyes and goes, "You talk to him?" I go, "Yeah, I showed him." And you don't even have to type, which is great because I'm a world's worst typist. Anyone that's been following me knows, hey, this guy must be stupid. Yeah, I'm just not a very good typist. I never took typing in high school. I thought that was for girls, right? I was really obviously I'm sitting there typing away programming computers, but that's a totally different language than speaking human. Whatever version of human you are, AI or typing computer code is really different. And I don't even need to type computer code anymore. I used to hire my guy and say, "I need a plug-in to do this." It's something simple, something easy, something fast. And I end up spending a couple $100. He'd do a fine job. I'd get done. And I'd use it. I don't now. I go to ChatGPT and I said, "Do you want to build a plug-in together?" "Sure." This is what I wanted to do. And it does it. And you test it. And you come back and say, "It didn't work. What's wrong?" You tell us wrong. And then it goes, "Okay, here's the new version. This will fix that problem." Sometimes it does, sometimes it does. But the fact is, I don't need to pay a programmer to come up with the plugin. Now, something like AI Massive Passive, that is complicated. Could I do with AI? I don't think so. But did my programmer, my CTO, Jayden, did he use AI on it? Probably. So I'm like, get it done. I need it quick. Let's go do it. And what is great for a programmer is you can go into AI and go, "Evaluate this code and let me know of any problems." And we'll do it and we'll come back in and say, "Here's the problem that's going to lead to hackers," for example, because your security protocols are not very well done. There's some code syntax errors, stuff like that. And it'll say, "Would you like me to fix it for you?" You go, "YES." Or you just say, "Yes, fix it." And it'll come back with the finished code. Then you say, "Zip that file and make it downloadable so I can put it to work." So now instead of waiting 2 weeks to get a $200 plugin, I can just go for it. And when Jayden is programming our cloud apps, because he wanted to go onto the cloud, and now I understand why. That's something that it's part of the future. Plugins is like so 2010. And we made millions of dollars selling those plugins. And I will continue to make a lot of money selling plugins. The fact is, it's kind of old technology, right? It's not new anymore. It's not exciting. It's not fun. But we can do it. I can ask him to program something and he'll do it for me, or I can program it myself. And there are always those simple little things like, God, I wish I could put a banner on the left side of my blog without putting any code or anything like that. Just have it so we'll automatically attach these links to an image I upload, and it will write a program that works first time, most of the time. I have my own plugins that do SEO. What it does is it reads your blog post and it recommends a meta based on the content. Will come back and represent a meta, which is the description that the search engines find, and the meta title, which is are these going to be searched for, and it'll come back and make recommendations to that effect. I just got a message that we're expecting heat today. Well, it's funny because it's March 12th and we've already had 90 degrees days. And my brother-in-law was like, "Wow, it sure gets hot early here." And I go, "Well, wait until tonight." And night is 42 because it's Texas. If you don't like the weather, it's like it's summer in the morning and winter in the evening and spring in the morning. We get these troughs fall down from Canada and it makes us cold. So I've done a lot of yakking. Let's see what else I have for you. The drone systems in Ukraine. The problem with AI is it is kind of like Googlebot. Crawls through everything. And there's nothing it cannot have. One of the big problems the government has is how do we keep things secure? You can make an AI bot that will crawl the websites and find usernames and passwords. And I think they can break most encryption nowadays. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm getting your username and password. No, I definitely am not. But the point is, there is always that nefarious crowd out there that will use an AI to find out information. So we're building all these weapons in the Pentagon. What's to prevent the Chinese from coming up with an AI that crawls and finds out what we're doing? Because they don't invent anything there. They steal it and make it cheaper. That's the thing. They're not innovative because in order for innovation to exist, there has to be monetary reward. That's why the United States is so innovative, because you come up with a great idea and you can make a lot of money. So come up with another great idea and make more money. In China, if you come up with a great idea, the government gets it and thank you very much, go do another one for us. So what's the innovation? So, and China came out with this called DeepSeek, right? And what the federal government in the States is doing is coming up with ways to block external nefarious AIs with their little bots that are crawling around your website from being able to access information that needs to be kept secret because of defense purposes. Okay. At the rate of intelligence growth in the AI world, and with the advent of quantum computing, which is here, how are you going to do that? A quantum computer can solve anything at the speed of light. And these bots can implement anything. So we're really in kind of interesting times as far as that's concerned, because there's no mechanism, if you will, to prevent people from doing certain things. So the federal government in the United States is putting a huge effort into creating tools to block China's bots and AIs. And I see bot traffic on my websites. I see very clear. And yeah, China's a big culprit. And if you can make your AI more intelligent or even think for itself, how are you going to encrypt your data to keep it safe? Well, you have to have a better AI than the guy that's attacking you. Okay. So we came out with all this encryption uh, things for banks and personal use and stuff. And they're pretty well useless now. If somebody wants your information, they're going to get it if they have AI as an ally. Now, that sounds scary, and that is the world we're living in. So, the United States, who's creating all these great weapons and AI integrated systems and all this stuff, needs to protect that technology to keep its advantage. So, they have their own AI designed to do that and designed to break other people's encryption codes and get into their content. So we don't want the Chinese finding out what we're doing with our defense initiatives, but we don't mind knowing what they're doing with ours. I mean, it's going to be no longer knowing, flying a balloon over the United States, which is the most retarded thing I've ever heard of, to know where our defense mechanisms and technologies headed. That they're going to be able to do with AI. They'll be able to do it with Google Earth. Yeah, have you ever really sat down and played with Google Earth? I wanted a picture of my home I own in San Diego to demonstrate that my ex-wife is not maintaining the property the way it was when I lived with her 20 years ago. And so I took a picture. I had a picture of where it was when we got divorced, and a picture of what it looks like today. And I used Google Earth to kind of zone in on it. And I had some other pictures, so I have a complete portfolio of before and after. So I'm trying to get her out of the house so I can sell it, and she's fighting me about it. I want to sell it and buy her another home that's easy to maintain, but she's stubborn and wants to stay there. I'm like, I can do whatever I want with the home. She says, but we have an agreement, we have a divorce, and it gets nasty very quick. And so I'm going to use Google Earth as part of my evidence. Here is a fact. I could take a picture of your backyard just by knowing the address. It might be a few months old, it might be even a year old, but it's going to be fairly accurate. Fortunately, I got pictures that I took with my own camera of stuff. I'm like, you're destroying the value of this house. This house is no longer worth what it should be, and I want to sell it and buy you another home that's smaller in a different area that you can afford, so I don't need to be part of your life anymore. And really, it's to protect her, but she doesn't believe me. So that technology, and even something like Google Earth, which is not, I don't think it's AI related, gives you the ability to see things and do stuff. I didn't have any photographs of all the homes I used to live in as a kid. So I searched online and found out pictures when they were sold by people from one person to the next, because the homes get traded along. And I was able to create a library. And all I want to do is have a library for my own keepsake, I guess, or memory, and share it to kids whenever they want to know where we came from. I got a picture of our house in Butte, Montana from 1958. My dad built it with his own two little hands. This is before I was born. And I'm wondering, what's it look like today, 67 years later? And it looks exactly like it did in 1958. I was able to type in the address, zoom in on it on Google Earth, and see what it looks like. And my dad was a great fix-it guy. I'm not. I can play guitar, I can type code, I can do that, but I have never the guy that can actually fix things, other than code and accounting books and stuff like that. So he had the physical skills, I had the mental skills, more or less. So these things are going to become more important to you. Uh, I'm reading right now that Alibaba, which is one of the biggest trading companies in the world out of China, Guangzhou, China, is uh, used to be Beijing, I guess, is actually taking and creating AI models to predict purchasing patterns based on external contact. So if there's a war in Ukraine, what's going to happen with business? And Alibaba ships this kind of stuff. You you look in your house, probably 70% of what you own was made in China. Your clothes, a lot of stuff. My iPhone right here. Okay. Now, I guess they're moving uh, some production to the US now because they don't want to pay the tariffs. It's going to. The tariff thing is funny because it really creates change in behavior quickly. Um, and so, yeah, here it is right here. This is all part of AI too. Your iPad is, your computer screen. I guess that's right there. All these things are part of AI because they are sources of data. Okay. I'll never forget the first time I did a Google search and it came up with content from my Gmail account. I understand it's only presenting it to me. So if you did a search, it's not going to show content for your Gmail account from my account. But it just told me, okay, that's cool. I mean, Google is giving me the service for free. What they're doing is feeding on that. Google's got their own AI. Microsoft's building competing AI. X already has one. You have Claude, Genesis. There's a bunch of AI systems. So obviously, the mechanism for training a large language model is not as difficult as we were led to believe because now there's plenty of them. What's really the challenge is the computing power, the facilities, the house that computing power, and access to data, which they can overcome in a heartbeat. So the federal government's literally going, what are we going to do when China's crawling our defense contractors and finding out what we are developing for future weapons? Why don't you guys just want to make peace is what I'm thinking. Because there's mutually assured destruction in everything. Because if China can crawl our information, I got to believe we're doing it already to them in the States. Same with Europe and other places. So the emperor has no clothes. It's all out to bear. AI is capturing information from every device, your phone, your iPad, your computer. Do you have Ring? I have Ring in the front of the house and inside the house. We have all these security things. I told my wife, I said, well, that's cool. You know, we know when a cat crosses the street, ring, you know, it's data though. That data goes to these data centers. Remember Edward Snowden back in, I think it was 2011 or 12, got in trouble and because he exposed the NSA was spying on citizens. I guarantee you 100%, without a doubt, that the government is tracking anything and everything you do. Not because they're trying to take extra tax money out of you. They're just trying to keep track of their citizens. Scary, ain't it? Just kind of like Russia does. And, you know, freedom of speech is the biggest blessing our country has. And it was going away until Elon Musk said, nope. And thank God for the Constitution written the way it is, because freedom of speech doesn't mean you have to like what you see or read. You could just skip it. You don't need to read it. If you don't want to believe it, fine, leave it alone. We have that in this country. You can get on Twitter or X and go, oh, I think Elon Musk is the biggest douche since Trump. And it will still be there the next day. If you tried to do that on any social media in China, there'd be like, A, it wouldn't post, and B, there'd be 15 Chinese uh, military officers staring you in the eye within 10 minutes. Because there's no way to hide uh, whatever you do online. It's getting snorfed up. It's available. Now, and the military is reading through Bill McRae's data. They're going to go, yawn. So they use AI to kind of go, we're looking for outliers. This guy buying, or this guy frequenting websites about Al Qaeda or ISIS or whatever the latest extreme group is, or is he, a sympathizer of extreme left propaganda? They know. They already know. And it's not going to get any better because our freedoms expose our tender side, our weak sides, because AI's ability to process massive data. So it's like, why do we try to defend ourselves from it? Because it's going to happen anyway. Any secret you have, you have an affair, and you don't want your wife to find out. Don't text, don't email, don't call. I'm not, so I'm not worried about it, right? But if you are, don't think your secret's a secret. Before long, they'll have called Cheaternopsis or something online, and you'll be able to have an AI crawl through all of your husband's data or your wife's data and come up with who she's seeing or who he's seeing. It's going to be all available. There's no stopping that. So the AI shouldn't scare you, but you need to be aware of how it's going to impact your life. There's a lot. I didn't show you anything today because I really wanted to go through my iPad over here, and I'm just kind of going through my itinerary. I didn't actually go through the whole thing. I was hoping that we'd have someone here, that Rick would be here to share some stuff from Velocity Impact, but evidently not. So here I am again this week. You guys have a great day, and I appreciate you checking us out. AI Social Poster is an amazing tool. You're going to see lots of content coming out on TikTok and YouTube and all over the place talking about how great AI Social Poster is. So I hope you remember. It's free for 7 days. You can really do some stuff. Have a great day, and we will talk to you all next week.